Is no restart.
Big move in Bitcoin then, in contrast to all the notes I wrote pre-show, which were telling me that this was going to put Bitcoin under pressure. What's
the narrative that perhaps this launch of these political meme coins will sap flows from Bitcoin is showing us that it's really not the case this morning. If anything, it's just accelerated the momentum and the excitement around cryptocurrency under another tough
Hello.
Hi, Dewald. What is all this FOMO about? Should I buy Bitcoin now?
Are you smoking your socks? You should rather watch my show. You should rather watch my show.
All right, legends, welcome to another live stream as always. Okay, I know I did not go live yesterday, but yeah, I am, right? I'm here going live today. I did mention, I'm not sure if everyone watched the live stream. I did mention I'm going to do slightly less YouTube updates because I'm busy focusing on other things, right? I'm busy designing and recording my trading course, which for me at the moment is taking priority. So if it means that I'm just going to do slightly less YouTube streams, so instead of maybe 2 streams a day or 1 every single day, maybe I'll do 3 or 4 live streams a week, but I will still come and bring you guys the alpha. I do spend most of my time inside of our Legends Pro community. I've actually been very much more active inside of our Legends Pro community, and it's been absolutely amazing nailing the trades together. Legends, welcome to the live stream. Friday, most probably getting ready for the weekend. Maybe you have some plans, maybe you have no plans. Sometimes no plans are the best plans. Just walk around in your pajamas the whole day. If you don't have kids roaming around, you can even do it naked, okay, if your windows are tinted. Right, legends, let's analyze the price of Bitcoin here together. And the infamous head and shoulders that everyone is watching at the moment. It's all over social media. Also a conversation that we had inside of our Legends Pro community. And right, you guys know what I said yesterday, okay? Because people pointed this out to me, right? Head and shoulders. You take your measured move here from the top to the neckline, okay? And right, we're going down, guys. We are going down. We only started breaking out now. We're going down to $94,000, right? We're going to come and find support inside of this zone. And that's the target, just from a pattern perspective. And the pro members know. The pro members know very well. I don't like patterns. Generally, I don't like to trade patterns. But there's one pattern that I hate with a passion, and it's this one. I hate them, and I love it when they get invalidated, because it's one of the easiest patterns to spot. It's one of the patterns that most retail traders play to the downside and trade to the downside, okay? And right, I just love it when they get invalidated, especially with this V-shaped recovery here to the upside, okay? There's a high chance you're going to come and claim this high again, okay? And there's a couple of scenarios I want to go through today. Just, you know, for interest's sake, let's go through a couple of scenarios. Just want to, where's this trend? Oh, it's this one over here. Right, where there's a chance, legends, I can imagine why everyone is shorting at the moment. And you might be asking yourself, well, Dewald, how do you know everyone is shorting? Because, I mean, if I look at CVD, holy moly, okay? As price is V-shaping here to the upside, shorts are piling in aggressively. You can see that people are playing the head and shoulders. We broke down, and a retracement becomes a shorting opportunity from a breakout perspective. So people are shorting the retracement, hoping and praying that it's going to reject without claiming the high. And hopefully, okay, now it's got acceptance back above. So I can imagine people shorting over here, building maybe a swing position with their stop above the high, right? You're just adding to your position. I can see it. Here's an indicator that shows me that retail is shorting. Okay, and the market makers are pushing price up, saying, you're not going to catch this one. It's not time, right? We are going to come. We're coming for you. We're coming for you, right? And also, it's based on the 5-wave structure. So you have this head and shoulders that everyone is looking at. You also have a 5-wave structure to the downside, because I know that people that are not experienced in Elliott wave theory are looking at this structure as, hey, hang on a minute, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so maybe we get an ABC that goes a little bit higher, right? But I can just imagine the shorts that are going to pile in over here. Can tell you guys now, people are going to short like crazy people over here, and there's going to be insane bullish CVD building up over here, because unfortunately a lot of inexperienced traders will look at this structure as a 5-wave structure. They're looking for the corrective structure, and we are going down, bear market. Okay, also on the daily time frame, I'm just highlighting what I'm seeing on social media. People are watching at this structure on social media. It's all over social media, comparing the previous bull cycle compared to this bull cycle. Okay, everyone is looking at this double top. It's playing exactly the same way. We are now going to, okay, and I see people are even taking bars pattern. I can't remember where the bars pattern thing is. I'd very seldom use it. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, they're doing this, right? I see people doing this. I see this all over social media. That is what's going to happen right now. Why is it so light? Let me see if I can darken that up a little bit. There we go. Right. This is what I see on social media. Okay. Can it happen? Always a possibility. What is the likelihood of it happening? Low, from a technical perspective. And I'll explain to everyone why the probability is low for the scenario to play out. Okay, it's very rare. There's a saying that says the market does not do exactly the same thing, but it does rhyme. It would be very strange to see this repeat exactly. Cool, that's my maybe smiley little nose. Okay, exactly the same over here. It would be very strange. The reason it will be very strange for me is because, well, again, has everyone successfully called the top? And people are just looking to short the crap out of this higher low that's going to form over here. And then we are going to go into a prolonged bear market here to the upside, coming to eat up this low eventually here at $46,000. Right, legends, I'm not saying that this cannot play out. All I'm saying is the probability of the scenario playing out is low based on the technicals. Right. And for those of you, the loyal subscribers to this channel that's been following me for a while, during this entire move here to the upside. When did I start my channel? I started my channel. Yeah, this is where I started my YouTube channel. Right over. Yeah, this is where I started my YouTube channel. So it's been a long journey here to the upside on the daily time frame. But nonetheless, guys, when I started my YouTube channel over here, right, and we were pumping here to the upside and we started correcting to the downside, during this entire fall, people were calling for lower levels. People were calling for $39,000, for $42,000. They were calling for this zone, this little pivot to be claimed. And I kept on saying, this is corrective, it's gonna come and claim the high again. And then, I mean, the rest is history, right? We went and we claimed the high. And again, when we made the double top here to the upside, okay, now let's zoom into this structure. During this entire zone here to the downside, I kept on saying it's corrective, it's gonna come and claim the high before it claims the low. That's what I kept on saying. And I kept on saying it doesn't matter how deep it goes, the probabilities are higher to claim the high first before we claim the low. And right, well, now we are where we are. Now we claim the high. And based on what I'm seeing here at the moment, on the data that I have available, and if the data changes my mind, I will definitely let you guys know. Okay, because my data is based on technical analysis. Based so far on what I'm seeing over here, the probabilities are higher that we're going to claim the high before we claim the low. Even if it still gets nasty here to the downside, scaring the crap out of everyone. And just before it claims the low, it turns around and it says, hello, here we go. Okay, and I will discuss some of the probabilities here in a moment on the smaller time frame, just to show everyone, well, why is the probabilities still higher to claim the high before we claim the low, regardless of how deep it goes. So I don't want people to misunderstand what I'm trying to say over here. It's not to say that we are just going to do this. Okay, I'm saying that there's definitely a chance that you could have a three-wave structure to the downside, you could have another three-wave structure to the upside, and you can have another three-wave structure to the downside. This correction can still continue for a very long time. Do you guys remember this? Holy crap, that was boring to trade. For most people, yeah, they lost hope. Retail was gone. Nothing happened to the altcoins. An 8-month consolidation that took place over here. And then your retail started coming back as Bitcoin was approaching these levels here to the upside. And I think during this range, we had the mini altcoin season. This is when retail, you know, my YouTube channel had the most views. It was absolutely crazy. And then, you know, there's some hopium. And then we started falling down. Retail disappeared. Altcoins went to bear market lows again. All hell broke loose. People are saying we're going into a bear market. And here was Dewald, the only bullish peanut in the packet, saying, no, we're going up. The amount of hate that I got, guys, during this phase, the amount of hate, because how dare you say we're going to claim the highs again? I'm not saying from you guys, okay? I'm not saying from you guys. From personal messages that I got after these streams. How dare you say we're going to claim the all-time highs? You're misleading your community. I got some harsh comments, okay? People saying, I don't know what I'm talking about. Why did you start a YouTube channel? You're misleading your community. Well, now we claim the high, right? And my analysis is based on probabilities. So I can never tell anyone that based on what I'm seeing, it's guaranteed that we are going to do that. All I'm saying is I'm always highlighting probabilities. That's all I'm doing. And I am a technical trader, which means that I need to take the highest probability trade. Okay, and that is what separates a gambler from a professional trader, because a professional trader trades probabilities. If I have a 70 to 80% probability that a trade is going to play out in my favor, it's worth the trade with good risk management. That is a trader. If I'm closing my eyes, entering a long and a short at the same time, hedge with us, you know, this is how some people trade, and just, okay, let's see what happens. You're gambling, right? Rather go to the casino. You're going to have way more fun in the casino. You'll get a drink as well. Okay, maybe get drunk and have a good night. Okay, right, legends. Now, let's zoom into this little structure. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame. One thing that I do want to highlight over here is that because I see some people are now on the bandwagon that it's only up from here. I see that there's some bullishness now creeping back into the air, where some people are now believing, well, what if this was the low? And we're just going up from here. The probability of continuing the bull market to much higher levels is low. The correction still needs to continue. Whether it goes sideways, okay, or whether it goes deeper to the downside without claiming the low, the correction is not over yet from a probability perspective. So you guys can see that on the higher time frame, I'm extremely bullish on the price of Bitcoin. But based on this local structure, I'm also saying that we're going to claim the high before we claim the low. But also what I'm saying is the correction is not done. Okay, and that's purely to do with time, right? When I take a time flip from the low to the high of the structure, it's not time yet. Sorry, I just want to do this again, guys. Just now I get the levels wrong. Okay, I will go and say hi to the community in a moment. There's also a couple of altcoins. I will do a poll to see if someone, you know, wants to have a look at an altcoin. Right, but when you look at time, especially on the higher time frame, I know most of you most probably know, the smaller the time frame, the more noise, the more fake outs. Okay, the higher the time frame, the more accurate the analysis becomes, the more it respects the Fibonacci's. And this is why a lot of traders or some people will only focus on the higher time frame, because it's the easiest to analyze. It's the most respected weekly, daily time frames. It is very difficult to trade the 5-minute, 15-minute, 1 minute, 15 second. The smaller the time frame, the more difficult it actually becomes to trade. And this is why a lot of experienced traders will say that you better know what you are doing if you are trading the smaller time frames. Okay, right. But now, legends, just to bring the point home over here, it's not time. This low was made before the minimum target. The minimum, this is the minimum target. Okay, a preferred target is the 1-to-1 extension. That's your preferred target. So what can happen over here is you could have a wave down, you could have a zigzag up, you could have a 5-wave structure back to the downside in an A, B, C. Finish the corrective structure at the end of July, and then we blast off like a rocket, better than Elon Musk's SpaceX ships here to the upside, like a pump that no one has ever seen before. Okay, but just to put it into perspective, this correction can still carry on for way longer. It does not even have to end here just after the 0.382. It can go to the 1-to-1 extension, and it's even common for a corrective structure to go to the 2. Okay, now you can see my lines are color coded for a very specific reason. If I take the scribble out here, the reason my 382, okay, there's always a reason behind my madness, is red, is to say that anything that finishes before my red line is not valid. The 618, okay, now, you know, it's orange. It becomes, no, that becomes better. The green is the perfect ratio between an impulse and a correction. That is considered the perfect ratio. But we know trading is never perfect. The 2, okay, still green, but it's like, okay, it's getting a little bit long. And then this is where it starts becoming dangerous. The 3 extension, it's yellow, still fine. 4, now you're starting to go into danger territory, but it's still not in invalidation. And then the 5 that I have over here is, okay, it's invalidated. There's something else. I've counted the structure incorrectly, whatever the case might be. So the 5 for me is usually the invalidation for a corrective structure. So in essence, what I'm trying to, and this is maybe not something that you would like to hear, you could have a damn corrective structure that finishes here by the 4, maximum target for me, okay? It's absolutely insane how long corrective structures can last. Right. So hopefully we're going to get a bounce in this zone, which is the most common zone. That is where 90% of the retracements takes place, is inside of this zone. Okay, so there's some hope. 90% of corrective structures finishes in this zone. It is very rare that they go all, this long. Right, cool. Now, let me go through some comments. Let me go through some comments before I carry on over here. Because I'm in the zone. You guys can see I'm in the zone. I'm educating, taking you step by step, my thinking, what I'm looking at. Right. Hi, Dewald. Hi, everyone. Riza, welcome to the live stream. Doge scan. Okay. Maybe you want to have a look at Dogecoin. Not sure. Only focus on BTC. BTC is king. And on the side note, Dewald, you should be a professor. You are super smart, Jareen. Thank you so much. You guys, I actually never knew that I enjoy educating people so much until I started the YouTube live stream. I enjoy 1,000% more giving you guys the knowledge in how to trade by yourself than giving you a trading setup. I can honestly tell you guys, I hate providing trading setups. I love to explain to you why I'm looking at a specific trading setup. And if you can understand why I am looking at that trading setup, it means you can do it by yourself. You don't need me anymore, and that makes me happy. Okay, right. Still looking for 9.5 to close that CME gap. Oh, Mr. MK Alexander, I'm not sure if you guys saw that scam week on Mexi yesterday or the day before, I can't remember, where there was a scam week that went to 0. Damn, son. I had a limit order there by 0, but it didn't it didn't trigger the limit order. Not sure if you guys saw that scam week on Mexi. Myself and the pro community were talking about it and just joking around, saying, yeah, we all had limit orders there by 0. You know, we would have been billionaires at the moment if it did fill those orders, right? We would have bankrupted Mexi. Right, 100k needs breaking to get more bearish in before we go all-time high. Yeah, I mean, Sin Games, you know, and that's now the conundrum, and this is now why I want to discuss a couple of scenarios over here, is to say that, well, what could potentially play out over here, okay? Are we going to look at a deeper correction, okay? Or are we going to, are we going to create a scenario where price doesn't come here and price doesn't come here and it just chops sideways and then it continues to the upside? What's most important is time. Time is the most important factor. Like what happened here, it was time. Like what happened here, time for the correction to balance out according to the impulse. Now, this entire impulse is correcting itself. So this impulse also needs to stop its correction after a certain time, which is the 0.382 from a time perspective. Okay, so I know from many examples that I have seen, and I've, you know, for everyone here, the loyal followers, you've heard me talk about this very often, is that if everyone is waiting for this level, let's just keep it simple. Okay, the most respected Fibonacci level is the golden pocket, the 0.618. It's the most respected Fibonacci level. So let's just use an example. Everyone waiting with limit orders over here, speculating that the bull market is going to continue to the upside. Okay, market makers love to do two things. They love to front run that zone, not even tapping the 50% and sometimes not even tapping the minimum FIB retracement. And this is why I have this level. It is a rare target, but a target nonetheless. This is a rare Fibonacci retracement target, and every time during this structure we've tapped the 2.36 when you take a FIB from the low to the high. Low to the high, guess what? 2.36. Okay, low to the high, guess what? 2.36. So everyone that was waiting for lower levels over here, like everyone is waiting over here, might not get it. Because market makers loves to do one of two things. They either front run the people waiting for the higher low, or they continue the correction sideways and then it pumps to the upside. And what does it do? It forces them to buy in at higher levels. Okay. The other scenario is they scare the crap out of everyone. So you either front run it with a sideways correction, like what happened here. All 3 times, you get a sideways corrective structure that does not even tap the 0.382. Or, how do you scare these people out of their trades? You drop it. You just drop it. It looks like a rocket here to the downside. You make people believe, oh shit, I got it wrong. We're not going to make a higher low. And it just continues here to the downside. And just before it claims that low, it turns around. And most of these people, especially inexperienced traders, will get out of their trades. They will FOMO out of their trades. They cannot be underwater for too long. And then they say, I'm just going to cut my loss and get out. Okay, so they either scare the market or they front run the market. Right, and I see that very often. So I am saying that there's definitely the possibility of a deep, scary correction. But there's also the possibility of a sideways corrective structure. Okay, and I can tell you guys now, when I take a time fib, okay, this is going to be my clue. This is going to be my clue, right? When I put that time fib back, if price continues to range over here, especially when it comes here to the 0.618 and especially the 1-to-1 extension over here, and it's still here above, it's not falling, there's a high chance you're not going to get this level and you're just going to pop up. You just have to, okay, let me start building a position over here, right? Let me put my stop loss here below this low, you know, from a risk management perspective, because from a timing perspective, it looks like it's not going to come down. Right, but then there's the following. You get a deep corrective structure, right? Maybe it finishes, you scare the crap out of all of these people, but you still do not claim the low, right? Because if this is a 1 and you're forming a 3-wave structure in a second waves can have, and it's actually very common for a 1 and a 2 to be a deep correction. It is more common for 4th waves to have long sideways corrections. Right, okay, cool, legends. Now let's zoom into the local structure. Remember to smash up that like button, and just want to see if I do have my stream open over here. If you guys would like to join our Legends Pro community, okay, where I'm spending most of my time at the moment, there's the link down in the description. The week's offer is still running, and I don't think it's going to run for much longer. Okay, so if you want that 25% discount on weeks and you want 20% of your money back to trade with for free, there's the link down in the description. Right, I've also got Bluffin and BTCC. And oh, now that I'm talking about Bluffin over here, you get that 15% cash back. Okay, and I've also opened up 2 swing trades and 1 limit order pending. Okay, so I did say 3 swing trades, but the one is not kicked in yet, but I do believe it's going to kick in. Right, I've opened up my first 3 swing trades on Bluffin. I've also transferred some money out of my Bluffin account into Spot, and I bought some Spot bags as well in Bluffin. Right, so yeah are the 2 swing trades. I'm just going to quickly show everyone there, because I'm, you know, during the stream, maybe I'll just discuss why I entered swing trades over there. Okay, let's go. Right, legends, now let's just quickly stick here on the 1 hour time frame. Something I want to point out over here is that I know that a lot of people are looking at this as a 5-wave structure to the downside. Okay, the probability of this being an impulsive structure is almost 0. Let's just give it a 1% probability, because nothing can ever be 0 in the trading market. So let's say this has a 1% probability of being an impulse. You have a 3-wave corrective structure, and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have a 3-wave corrective structure, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, remember, because you also have to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you go and you claim the low, and, you know, and then the bear market starts, basically. Okay. So, like I've explained during the beginning of the stream, now when I zoom into this structure on the 1 hour time frame, there's a couple of problems, okay, for this to be an impulse to the downside. Your first problem, big problem, it's a massive problem, is that little pivot. That's your biggest problem, because that little pivot tapped that pivot and that pivot. So if this is, let me put it in properly so that everyone can follow what I'm saying. If this is a 1 and this is a 2, and now we've had the 3, and this is the 4, and this is the 5 here to the downside, this 4th wave over here is not allowed. That's a hardcore rule. It's not even a probability. The 4th wave in an impulse to the downside is not allowed to tap your first wave. It's not allowed to, unless you are looking at a diagonal. Contracting diagonals are by far the most common, and they do play out often. An expanding structure, okay, because now I have to look at a contracting diagonal. Okay, so you take your trend from number 2 and you connect it with 4. That's how the rule works. So, that's actually where we're currently getting the rejection, by the way. And then you take your second trend from number 1 and you connect it with 3 and 5. Okay, now there's your problem. So it can be a diagonal, but it's expanding. Can you guys see? It's not contracting. A contracting is that. Okay, or that. It has to contract towards, it has to squeeze together. So the easiest way to just make sure that it is not contracting is you take a parallel channel. Where's my parallel channel? Over here. Dewald, are you losing your marbles? Why can't I see the parallel channel? Oh, because I'm on the wrong thingy over here. Right, you take a parallel channel from number 1 to number 3, you can do it that way. You drag it to number 2 and you click. And you can see that price action is outside of the parallel channel, which then tells you it's expanding. If price action was inside of your parallel channel, not tapping the trends, then you have a contracting diagonal. The reason I'm highlighting this is that expanding diagonals are extremely rare. I actually did some research, a lot of research, and the only time that someone has identified an expanding diagonal on the larger time frame, 1 hour and up on Bitcoin, during its inception was once, and that structure is still under debate. People, even eliticians are fighting amongst each other to say that, no, but you can actually count it like this. No, you can actually count it like this. So if it's not a valid expanding, it means it's never happened on the price of Bitcoin. So this is how rare they are. So you get them. It is a structure in Elliott wave theory, but I just want to explain to you how rare they are. Okay, so if it was contracting, I would have sang a different tune over here. So it's not an impulse. Okay, so I trade probabilities, and if an expanding structure has a 1% probability, well, I'm going to lean 99% that it's not going to happen, which is almost a certainty. Right, just to explain to everyone. And now, a structure that makes a little bit more sense to me is, well, what if this is an ABC? What if this is your A, this is your B, and this is your C wave here to the downside, still forming? Okay, because you can have a 5-wave structure inside of your C wave. But now you guys see, now this becomes corrective, because the ABC structure is a corrective structure, which means the high is still going to be claimed. The all-time high is still going to be claimed. Now this carries already a much higher probability than an impulse to the downside. Okay, so now we need to figure out, okay, well, what happened inside of the C wave? So can you guys see, this is the amount of work that I put into Bitcoin to determine probabilities. There is a lot and many scenarios that I go through on a daily basis to see where we are. And then when I do a live stream, whatever the case might be, okay, it's not just I look at the chart, I press the live button, and then this is what I see. Okay, it takes a lot of time to analyze the probabilities, the structures, and so forth. Okay, right, so now I'm trying to see, well, maybe this was 1, okay, inside the C wave. This was 2, perfectly fine. This was 3. Now we are forming the 4th wave, and we're going to come and claim the low again. Okay, now I want to see, well, does it make sense? Okay, does it balance? Is it valid? Has it been invalidated? This is the type of work I go through. So hopefully by me going through these things with you together, you will learn how to do it yourself, because that is what I'm passionate about. Okay, if you are here in the channel for signals and you just want to know where to trade next and you don't know how to do any of this, you're most probably in the wrong place. You should unsubscribe and go look for someone else, because I will always go through the educational part in terms of how I analyze the structure. Because what I'm doing here, you can do it on the 1 minute time frame, you can do it on the 5 minute, 15 minute, any time frame. You can analyze these small. Imagine this was the 1 minute time frame, and I'm now looking for a short or a long. This is the exact same process that I will go through. Okay, so now this damn C wave here to the downside. Okay, you have to take your trend from number 2, connect it with 4. Okay, drag it down. Now I want to see if this is expanding or contracting. It cannot be an impulse. Let's just rule out the impulse here quickly. Okay, it cannot be an impulse 1 2 3 4 5, because 4 is now already in your territory of 1. It's not allowed to, so it can only be a diagonal, and hopefully it's a contracting diagonal, because you all know what I'm going to say about an expanding diagonal. Okay, so now I take a trend from number 1 and I connect it with number 3. Okay, so now this looks like it has a chance. It looks like it has a chance. It's almost going to invalidate itself. I think the 4th wave has actually already invalidated itself. Just FYI, I think the 4th wave is already invalid because it's longer than it's higher in price than the 2nd wave. And, you know, according to theory, it actually invalidates itself. But let's just keep it simple over here. So I take my parallel channel, I connect 1 and 3, and I connect it with 2. And you can see, ever so slightly, if price pumps a little bit higher, it's not contracting anymore. Okay, it's literally right there is your invalidation for this structure. Okay, so now I know that even this corrective structure is now starting to lose probabilities. ABC, which is still fine. You reject, you claim the low again. I will be looking for longs, because after an ABC, you make a 5-wave structure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, swing failure from the lows. I'm very interested in longs, because after a 3-wave structure down, you could get a 3-wave structure up. So I'm very interested in longs if we do claim these lows. So that's definitely a plan for me. If we claim these lows again, based on the probabilities that I've just explained, I'm going to be looking for longs very aggressively, especially from this pivot over here. As soon as price starts trading above this little pivot over here, I'm in. I'm there like a bear. Right. Cool, legends. So I must say this scenario for me now also carries lower probability. So, okay, let me keep it simple and show you guys, well, which scenario then carries the highest probability at the moment, okay, compared to these structures that I've shown. One of them is this one. Okay, you could still fall down. And all I mean, and all that will happen is if price continues to pump here to the upside, let's say it does this, it rejects, maybe we get a SFP from that high, it starts falling down in a 3-wave structure. All I will do is I will take this and move it there. Okay, so it's a WXY. So what I'm trying to highlight over here is you can still move down, and this is why I'm keeping an eye on these fib levels. Obviously, I will move this fib level up. Okay, if we get a higher X there to the upside. Right, so guys, there's still a possibility to fall down, but in a corrective fashion, because a WXY is a corrective structure. So I will be keeping an eye on these Fibonacci levels for potential longs back to the upside. Right, also something that I wanted to highlight is, I want to go here to my analysis. Last night, okay, I struggled to fall asleep last night, and this is what I posted. Do you guys see what I posted over here? 786. Do you guys see what I posted over here? Let me go show you. Maybe you guys are not seeing what I'm seeing here yet. Okay, so let me take this out the way. I took a trend-based fib from the high. When you get an aggressive drop like that to the downside, you need to rip out the big guns. Okay, so I took a trend-based fib from the high. Was it to this low? Let me first see. I want to make sure that I'm on the regular scale. Okay, let's try this again. I can't remember from which pivot. Was it from this high to the low to the high? There we go. No. Or was it from this high? Yes, it was from this high to the low to the high. Oh, there we go. Sorry guys, I had to just get my marbles here. So I took a trend-based fib from this high to the low to the high. And that is where we got the bounce. Very frustratingly, and I must be honest, I was very frustrated because I mean I couldn't fall asleep. It was very late already. It was like 12 o'clock at night here by me in South African time. Okay, this is how it transpired, guys. Okay, this is what I told everyone. Let's see how price reacts over here. It's a great level. It's a high time frame level. You're most likely going to get a reaction at this level. Okay, and then I sat in front of the chart for about 15-20 minutes, and then I showed everyone, here's the fib pool. I should have just looked at this. This is how you pull the fib. Okay, and then I said no reaction, and I went back to bed. And then here was some sad faces and people saying, oh crap, okay, Dewald is not interested in this trade. And then I woke up and I just told the legends, holy crap, how beautifully that did actually play out. Because this is what happened last night, just to explain to everyone. I was here on the 15-minute or 5-minute time frame, I can't remember. And I was looking at this, okay, I wanted acceptance back above my level. Right, so here's your 786, you can see the blue line over here. Here's the 786, we tapped it. Okay, I was like, okay, that looks good, right? And then we closed this 15-minute candle below, and I went to bed. I was like, okay, and I posted no reaction. I want price to trade above my area of interest. If I stayed awake for another couple of minutes, and I saw this if I saw this engulfing candle, okay, if you guys don't know what candle patterns means, that's an engulfing candle, right? If I saw this, the 15-minute engulfing these two candles above my area of interest, that is a long trigger. Stop goes below the low, and then off to the races you go. I should have just stayed awake a couple of more minutes, but I went to bed. I was tired, right? I saw that and I was like, okay, no trade for me, legends. We are below my area of interest, no reaction. So for the pro members that were awake last night, okay, I mean, you guys need to pay attention to this, because often I might say something, especially when I'm sleeping, okay, based on this, and then you see an engulfing is definitely a long attempt. You have such an important area over here. And then also, I mean, you have confluences aligning with this zone. If I go here onto the 30-minute, I mean, what a beautiful swing failure pattern from this little low over here. It was the long, right? You guys agree, it was the long to be taken at this level, which I did successfully identify. Just went to bed a little bit too early. Well, it was late already. Okay, so I could have benefited from this trade, and I can tell you guys now, if I were awake for another 20 minutes, I would have taken the trade. Okay, anyways, right? But now, you know, in hindsight, it's always easy to look at it, but I mean, you got acceptance back above the level. Okay, it's as simple as that. You got acceptance back above the level, and that is a classic swing failure pattern. Classic. And now we're getting the short squeeze here to the upside, and like I've told everyone, I know why we're getting the short squeeze here to the upside. From a psychology perspective, you have a head and shoulders. Okay, you people are expecting price to drop, to come and tap this consolidation area. So I'm not surprised that we did find support SFP from the low, and now we're squeezing, you know, the market makers are just squeezing everyone out of their shorts and saying hello. Okay, so now I come to the trading probabilities that I'm currently watching, but maybe before I get there, okay, how the structure could still play out. Okay, remember I showed you guys this one. Okay, you might not get this one, because if this structure starts exploding here to the upside, maybe we do get the rejection over here. It falls back down, it makes a higher low, and then it continues to the upside. What I will be paying attention to is when you take a fib from the all-time high to the low that we've made over there. Okay, if price taps the 0.786, one could even argue the 0.7, it doesn't even have to be the 786, it could also be the 0.7. Your X wave, okay, when it taps the 786 over here, it does reduce the probabilities that your Y wave is going to claim your W, which means the low could be in. It's in. The low could, okay, I'm not saying it's in, I say the low could be in if we continue to pump to the upside and we claim this level, just to be on the safe side. Because then you could have a sideways Y wave in a triangle. And this is usually the pattern that leaves people behind, because they look at the time fib. Remember the time fib that I told you about? They see that the low was made before the 0.382. Price pumps over here, it rejects, and then it goes sideways until it passes the 0.382, the 0.618 from a timing perspective, and then it explodes and it continues the bull market to the upside. So there's a chance that the low is in, but the corrective structure is not finished. And this is why I sometimes tell people is that the lowest point of a corrective structure does not necessarily mean that this is where the correction came to an end. Your correction actually came to an end over here. Okay, because you could have a W, a deep X, and then a sideways Y in a triangle, which does not claim the low. But your correction actually came to an end over here in a W, X, Y. Y formed a triangle. Did not take the low, it leaves everyone behind, and then off to the races you go. So there is a possibility for a much deeper correction, but there's also the possibility that the low is in. Makes you think, right? Makes you think. That is also why I opened up 2 swing trades today. Okay, small, I nibbled, guys. I nibbled at 2 swing trades on 2 altcoins, and I've got a limit order for another one. And because I don't know how this is going to play out, but I also know that based on my technical analysis, even if we do this and we fall down here, okay, I'm going to add to those positions. That's my plan. I'm just going to add to those positions. Right, so I've just nibbled. So I would really love for price to come down lower. I would love it. Okay, but I also acknowledge that I might not get it. And this is why I nibbled. And from me, from a nibbling perspective, is that even when I see strength to the upside, so if price starts building a triangle over here, okay, and we can see, there's a triangle, we could now be forming a Y wave over here, okay, maybe X went nice and deep over there to the upside, right? That is when I will then start adding more into my swing positions. But it's not, this is why I only nibbled, because there's still a lot that needs to happen over here before I can get aggressive with my swing trades. Okay, right, legends. That is basically what I wanted to go through over here. And now a couple of trading scenarios. It's actually very simple. And this is why I'm not spending a lot of time on the trading scenarios. Okay, trading scenarios. I was on Andy's stream as well. I couldn't agree more with Andy. Is a swing failure pattern from the golden pocket. Okay, golden pocket, pivot, massive liquidity lying above. Okay, so if price does continue here to the upside, I'm looking for an SFP from the high. Okay, this could fall down, make a higher low and continue. I don't care. I want to take advantage of that move. Another obvious trade that I'm looking at is if price rejects from where it is right now and it starts falling here to the downside, there's 2 trades that I'm looking for. It depends on how we fall to the downside, because I want to show everyone this on the 15-minute time frame. Okay, there was a beautiful break of trend over here. Beautiful. Was it this one? Right, that I highlighted inside of the Legends Pro community. I said, guys, wait for the breakout. Okay, based on my analysis on the structure, this is why I said from a simplicity perspective, Legends, just wait for the breakout. If you don't know what to do over here, just wait for the breakout. Okay, because in how, and I'm not going to have enough time to go into a lot of detail, but how I analyzed the structure, I knew if it was going to break out, it was going to shoot to the upside to at least claim the value area high of the entire range. Okay. Also, you know, just from a simplicity perspective, you take a fib from the high to the low, you tap the golden pocket, always a profit taking area. Okay. So I knew if it was going to break, it was going to pop. It doesn't have to go and claim the high. You just need to know where to take profits. Okay, and I knew if it was going to fall, it was not going to break the trend. And then when price broke out, I said the following. Okay, I can go and show you guys inside of the Legends Pro community. If you missed the breakout, please do not FOMO into the trade. It needs to give you a slow grind here to the downside. You can have another trend and you play this breakout. And then this happened. It just got acceptance back below the trend. So you have to wait. You can't just, okay, it's retracing, now I'm entering. No. No, it has to build that bullish pennant. Okay, it has to build the bullish pennant. Then I'm interested in the long. If it doesn't build the bullish pennant in a slow 3-wave corrective structure, no trade. Okay. And this is basically what I'm now looking for in this structure. Okay. If price rejects over here and it falls like it did over here, it just falls. Okay. I'm not interested in a long. If price now rejects over here and it starts grinding slowly to the downside, bullish CVD building up against these little pivots that's formed over here. You can, you know, there's a nice little trend forming over here. It needs to be slow grinding because a slow grind to the downside is the easiest way to identify, is it corrective or is it impulsive? Because if it's impulsive, it's going to fall. Okay. If it's corrective, you see, I mean, need I say more, guys? You know, here's the best example. If it's corrective, it's choppy, it's slow, it's boring, you wait, nothing happens, people leave the market, okay? Choppy, all over each other, very boring. That's what I want to see inside of this structure. Okay, then, only then will I consider a long. Because this could be forming. Okay, this is very one wavy, must admit. And this is something else I want to tell everyone. It's very one wavy. So you could have another 3-wave down and another 3-wave up. Okay, so I want to take advantage of that move. Right, maybe we reject here by the pivot. Okay, maybe we reject here, maybe we reject by the 786, but I will be watching each level to see how price reacts at those levels. If price starts aggressively falling here to the downside, especially if you see a 5-wave structure to the downside, I'm going to be interested in shorts to come and claim this low. So if I don't get the slow grind to the downside, I'm not interested in a long. If it falls aggressively to the downside, I'm interested in a long from this pivot. Okay, because there's a chance that you fall down, grab the liquidity again, start trading above. I want to trigger long, stop goes below the low, and then you're most likely going to move up again, because then that contracting diagonal could be playing out where this is now the 5th wave. You know, you have your 3, 4, 5, and then it gets acceptance back above. Right, so that's basically what I'm looking at, Legends. It's not, I must say, this was not an easy zone to trade for all of us, but we've had some really successful trades here in the bag, okay? That short I identified inside of the Legends Pro community. Okay, I think Andy is still in this short. I took profits. Okay, I just took profits. I was happy with the profits I made. Right, I need to learn to leave the more of the position open to the downside. But this was a short highlighted in the Legends Pro community. This was a short. Highlighted in the Legends Pro community. So you know, you could say, for argument's sake, well, if I entered that short, I would have just left the position open because I knew we were going to roll down. No, you didn't know. Okay, no one knew that we were going to just fall here to the downside. But that was a 5-wave a contracting diagonal 3-wave corrective structure. You enter the short, as you fall down here to the downside, you start taking profits. You know, you get in, you get out. That's a scalp for me for the day. Very, very happy. But something I want to highlight over here is I'm going to start making a point, especially in the pro community, to not just highlight trades for the sake of trading. And this is something that I've been hammering on, especially this week, because I often feel that people want to trade and I have to provide trading scenarios that I'm looking at. And very often it just doesn't make sense to me. So if that was my trade that I knew with high chance is going to play out, and that was my trade with high chance that it's going to play out, okay, and this one, if I just stayed awake a little bit longer, high chance, okay, so during this entire structure you would have taken 3 trades, but they all would have been successful. Instead of trying to scalp the long scalp, I just want to, oh, and this was another one, by the way, 1.618. Do you guys remember this one? Fib extension, 1.618. If the bulls have any chance, price needs to shoot here to the upside. Some of the pro members jumped into that long as well. So I only want to start highlighting high probable trades. And if there are a day or two that I don't see anything because it's not a high probability, then so be it. I'm not going to highlight a trade if I feel that it doesn't have a high probability. And obviously the reasons behind the trade. Why am I looking at the trade? And if I cannot answer the why, then no trade. Right. Okay, cool, legends. So this in a nutshell is what I am looking at the moment. Let me go through some more comments. I've gone through all of that. Hi, Riza again. Dewald, on what time frame you predict the 5-wave move? 5-wave move? I've spoken about so many scenarios. Okay, if you're asking a question, now I have to try and figure out which scenario. Okay, the time frame that I did, the high time frame scenarios from the all-time high, so you can use the 1 hour, 2 hour, it doesn't really matter. So if you're talking about this structure, just waiting, A, B, C, okay, and this is your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can use the 1 hour, 2 hour, even the 4 hour time frame. It doesn't really matter. Okay. Thank you, Dewald. Mr. Ulifir, you're very, very welcome. Only trades with high probability. The rest is noise. Yes, Jeroen. I would rather, guys, I'm being dead serious. Myself and Andy have had a couple of phone calls this week because this was a mess. This was, guys, sometimes I don't even know what the hell is going on. And in those times, I actually stay out of the market. I don't trade. Okay, this was an absolute mess. We took some successful trades in there at levels that just looked, okay, that's a good level. But from an Elliot wave perspective, this was an absolute mess. Me and Andy jumped onto calls and we were even like, yes, what the hell is going on here? Okay, and during those conversations, myself and Andy also said, you know what, I would rather jump into one trade a week that has a high probability, like a 80%, 70% probability, than trying to trade everything inside of this range and just getting stopped out. Okay, so I would rather take one trade a week and it's a win. Because no trade is also a trade. Preserving your cash is also a really good trade. Okay. Hopefully we'll get more than that. Obviously, hopefully we'll get more of that. But I just want to explain to everyone to say that if I see something that doesn't make sense to me, I'd rather want to stay out of the market until something makes sense. Because this move made a lot of sense to me. This move over here. This is where things started making sense again, is when we made this high and we started falling to the downside. We broke to the upside, got the rejection. I was like, oh crap. Okay, now I had my Fib levels. I told everyone to keep an eye on the Fib levels, and then the big level here, the 786, I was like, okay, price needs to stop over there. And then unfortunately I went to bed too early and we got the acceptance back above. Okay, remember to smash up that like button for the education. I would really appreciate that, okay, because I do put a lot of time and effort into these YouTube live streams to bring you this education. If you don't like it, well, then, okay, there's nothing I can do about that. Right, alt season when? Alt season when? Okay, so maybe guys, now that I've finished here on the price of Bitcoin, lekker takkies, now let's braai Vrydag. Tim, yes, I am list for a nice braai. I think tomorrow I might braai some meat. I'm really list for some nice juicy steak with some pork rashers, maybe some vors. I'm really list for a braai. Okay, market keeps evolving, and in that development, it cancels scenarios and validates others. Yes, this I learned from you, Dewald, the true legends. Mac, yes, I mean, you're just singing my song, you know, singing to the, you know, preaching to the choir. You're just singing my song over here. Is that often I have so many scenarios. I had plenty of scenarios inside of this little structure. And then they start invalidating. Okay. And then you delete, and then you're like, okay, now this one, there's only 2 left. Which one is it going to be, right? It starts giving you higher probabilities from a directional bias perspective. Right. I'm still shorting 111K. Wow. What an epic trade. 111K. You shorted 111, Mr. Sin Games. Absolute legend, man. I'm holding on for one more low. Stop is set at 107.527. 107.527. 107.527. Oh, okay. So protecting your position. Yeah, I mean, Mr. Sin Games, you know, based on all the scenarios that I've discussed over here, there's still a good chance that you're going to form that W. Sorry. Let me just draw that out again. A W, you have your ABC and a W. Okay, so there's still a chance that this is your W. All of this is still part of your X. X waves, guys, I cannot tell you. X waves, very complex, and it gives me a clue. The reason I struggled over here is because it's a goddamn X wave. X waves are the most complex corrective structures in Elliot wave theory. Okay, so that tells me, okay, maybe this is a W. All of this is maybe still part of this little bad boy over here, and this is why it's such a mess. Okay, so even if the X comes up a little bit higher, then you have a W, you have an X, and then you could have a Y to the downside. So it is a good plan to leave some open for lower levels, because yes, you could still come down to $95,000, $94,000. But for me, I can only tell you what I would do. Okay, it's not, you know, you are responsible for your own trades. If X taps, okay, and let me make it a little bit more realistic. If X, you actually need to take it from there, because this is still part of X. Anyways, if X taps, let's just keep it simple. If X taps, and I actually need to put that setting in, guys. I need to add another setting here. 7. Let's put the 0.7 in there. There we go. If X taps the 0.7, okay, so it's basically a flat A, B, C, okay, and it taps the 0.7, I'm out. Well, I would exit the position, because then you increase the probabilities for a triangle or a flat, another flat, okay, and then you continue to the upside. So I think your TP is set at a good place. I think your stop loss is set at a good place, right? But I mean, Sin Games, what you can do is you can move your stop loss to this zone, because you're not allowed to tap it in an X wave. Well, it's not that you're not allowed. All I'm saying, if you tap the 786, you're more than likely going to get a sideways corrective structure that does not take the low again. So this could actually be your stop loss, because if your X wave taps the golden pocket, you could still go down, and you don't want to get stopped out of over here and then miss the move to the downside. So the best place for your stop loss is at the 0.7 Fibonacci. Hope that helps. Okay. Dewald, what happened to the $100 challenge? You blew no, Satoshi, I didn't blow the account. I actually put more money in the account. It really was, it was fun, and it was a great idea when people suggested the $100 account. But I can tell you guys now, I need to trade to pay the bills. Okay, I have larger accounts that I need to trade. So if I'm entering high probable setups, I really struggle to trade on multiple exchanges at the same time. Okay, so when I see a high probable setup, I would rather trade with the money that I need for the month. Okay, so it was fun to trade the $100 setup on weeks, but I fell into a little bit of a hole where I was only trading that account and I was not making money on my larger account. Okay, I need to prioritize what's important for me. So I then decided to put a little bit more money in there, and right, so it at least makes the trades worth it. Okay, I like to, you know, guys, when I'm entering a trade, okay, why were we entering a trade? You're entering a trade because you want to make money. So if I'm entering a trade, the money for me needs to be worth it. Right, so it was fun when it started, but I just quickly realized I won't be able to sustain it. Okay, because when I play swing failure patterns, like this one over here, if I had to get in, or this one over here, okay, I do not FOMO into trades. And when you have multiple exchanges open and you enter over here and you enter over here, often what happens is by the time you get to the other exchange, prices already run away. And I don't like to FOMO into trades. Then I don't take the trade on that specific exchange. And sometimes they sign out and then you have to 2FA, two-factor authentication to get back in. By the time you've signed in with your email verification and your two-factor, okay, the trade already played out type of thing. Okay, right, so Satoshi, that is what happened to the $100. So I still have it. It's just a little bit more money in the account now. Dewald, there is 0 streams from you that I don't like. So much learning info you share with us. I respect for all your time and effort. Thanks, Anna. I really appreciate it. And I think this is also why I'm putting more effort into my trading course, because everything that I'm teaching you over here is going to be inside of the trading course. There's going to be nothing that I'm saying over here that's not going to be in the trading course. So, and it's nicely structured. It goes through sections. It starts from the simple basics of what is a candle. What's the difference between swing trading, investing? What is TradingView? How to use TradingView? How to use an exchange? I need to start from the basics. Then it goes to advanced, Fibonacci levels, trend-based Fib extensions, which are the best settings to use. Right, then I go, I mean, the most advanced section inside of that course will most probably be detailed Elliot wave training. Okay, so you're going to have to watch a lot of live streams, okay, to catch the nuggets that I'm sharing, where in the trading course is all just going to be there. Okay, right, it's not what I will say is the trading course is not going to be for free, because I'm putting a lot of work into it, and it would be silly of me not to charge money for my trading course, because it's taking a lot of resources and hours out of my day, and I'm actually missing trades because I'm working on the trading course. When I'm busy recording and the lights are shining on me and I'm busy editing and stuff, okay, I don't trade, right? So I need to put a price on it so that it makes it worth it for me as well, sharing my knowledge. Right, you deserve more subscribers. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Guys, you know, and if you do want to support the channel, you don't know how to support the channel, okay, links for the exchanges that I use are always down in the description. It doesn't cost you anything extra. Whether you Google the exchange, whether you use the links here down in the description, you actually only benefit from using the links down in the description, because this is where you qualify for the biggest sign-up bonuses and lowest trading fees, because we talk to these exchanges, the CEOs and the business partners, and they give us the best offers and for our communities. Okay, so you're not going to get this, guys. You're not going to get that. If you go and Google Weeks, you're not going to get it. And you're going to pay higher trading fees. You're not going to get cash back to trade with for free. You're not going to get the 15% cash back in your account when you Google Bluffin. And this is a way for you to support the channel. Smash up the like. Use one of the links to do your daily trading, okay? And if you want to have more access to myself and the coaches, there's our Legends Pro community. Okay, right, Legends. Now, I'm not sure if what's the time now. I've actually run over time. I only wanted to keep this live stream an hour long. But what I will do is I will quickly tell everyone briefly the swing trades I entered today. Okay. Let me see if they are in profit. Slightly in profit. Okay. There's Link and ICP. The one that has a limit order is Litecoin. So just quickly to look at those structures. Why did I enter swing trades? Okay, let's quickly look at Litecoin. Well, from a larger time frame perspective, and I'm just going to do larger time frame analysis here quick at the moment. Okay, So if I go to the weekly time frame, everyone should know by now, why is Dewald bullish on Litecoin? It's a dinosaur coin. Why on earth would anyone want a damn Litecoin, a dinosaur coin in their portfolio? Because I've seen this movie before. Okay. It's in exactly, guys, if I open up XRP, XRP is over here. XRP did exactly the same thing, and now XRP is over here. On the macro time frame, remember this is the weekly time frame, Litecoin has been inside of a fourth wave on the macro time frame. Fourth wave are long, boring, no one wants it, it shakes everyone out, and then you get that absolute monster here to the upside like XRP has already done. This is why I entered a swing trade on Litecoin. Okay, without going into too much detail, I was basically looking at, let's go here to the 4-hour time frame just to show everyone, well, what am I looking at over here just briefly. Okay, I'm seeing a 5-wave structure here to the upside, 1 2 3 4 5. I'm seeing this all as still being corrective, and this is where my limit order is at the 1.618. and I don't care, guys, if, and this is what I'm saying, I'm nibbling. Okay, if it goes down lower, I will add a little bit more. And then the closer to my invalidation, the more aggressive I get with adding. That is how I approach the markets. Next one on the list is Link. Okay, I mean, just to stick here onto the smaller time frame, this looks, guys, I know it looks like a mess. Myself and Andy actually discussed these coins together this morning. Okay, the probabilities, what do we see for long term, weekly time frames. This looks like a 1 2 3 4 5, and this looks corrective to the downside. So there's a good chance that it's going to create a higher low even at the 786. Okay, somewhere in the zone. I'm willing to give it a shot. Okay, if I get stopped out, I don't care. I will then look for another opportunity, because there is a scenario with some of these altcoins where the low can still be taken, but the macro structure is still bullish. Just want to highlight that, guys. I'm telling you what I am doing. I'm not telling you to do anything that I am doing, because this is no financial advice. So I'm starting to build some swing trades on Link. This looks good for me. Stop below the low. And guys, this is like 1% positions of my portfolio. Okay, depending on how big your portfolio is, that could be quite significant. At 2x leverage, I can show you on Bluffin, guys, on Bluffin, I can show you 2x leverage. When I start seeing strength to the upside, Bitcoin has finished its corrective structure. It's after the 0.3. You know, when I start seeing strength, dominance is starting to drop, I will even add to these coins on the upside. It doesn't have to go down lower for me to add. Depending on what I see, I will add to these positions. And I might then increase my leverage to make more capital available. Okay. Right. So it was Link, and the last one is ICP. Okay. What can I, guys, ICP looks amazing. What can I say? ICP looks absolutely fucking amazing. Technicals, guys. I'm a technical trader. When I see technicals like this, right, beautiful impulse to the upside, long ABC corrective structure. Can you see the choppiness? You know, you have an A, B, C, D, E in the corrective structure. You have a C wave to the downside in a 5-wave impulse. Then all of a sudden you move up in a 3-wave structure. Okay, that's interesting. 3-wave structure up means you're not going to take the high. And then we fall back down here in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, there's still a chance that it can come and eat up this low. I just don't want it to tap the 0.88. So I do have a limit order here at the low. Okay, from a spot perspective. And right, and this is now today where I added a little bit for a swing trade. Impulse, beautiful corrective structure. Speculating on price to move here to the upside. Okay, ICP, I do not have an invalidation. The invalidation is very, very far away. With ICP, I'm just going to add a little bit, add a little bit, add a little bit, and maybe the 0.88 could be my invalidation, but I'm still expecting, even if it taps the 0.886, you will still likely get a bounce where I can get out with profits. Okay, so, you know, I have an exit strategy. So it's very important for me. But something very interesting to point out over here, guys, is let me clean up the chart. Okay, Look at time. I want to show everyone, if I take the low of the pivot to the high of the pivot, okay, look at how long this corrective structure took place. Short impulse, and you finish the corrective structure at exactly the 2 extension, to the T, like it tapped that level to perfection. Just want to show everyone that it is very normal to have a short impulse and a very long, boring corrective structure that doesn't look like it's gonna do anything. It could even go to the 3, okay? But the impulses are the best, okay? Because that's where you want to make the money. You want to buy, where it's boring, where no one wants to buy, and you want to enjoy the ride to the upside. The difference between smart money and retail is, okay, retail buys the euphoria to the upside. Smart money buys when no one wants to buy. Because I can tell you guys now, no one wanted to buy ICP over here. No one. But when ICP started pumping here to the upside, everyone was buying, buy. And some of them made profits. Some of them maybe took some profits. Some of them didn't take profits. Some got liquidated. Okay, I prefer to buy when no one wants to buy. It's scary. It's going to zero. It's taken the lows. It's still in a downtrend. Okay. So for me, it feels uncomfortable for me to buy. And when I feel uncomfortable, for me, it usually signals, okay, maybe it's the best place to buy. If I'm wrong, I do have an exit strategy. And I have different plans. And I can tell you guys now, I don't even know if I'm going to add any other altcoins to the Bluffin portfolio. Because I know that I can make more money with 3 altcoins than a person that has 100 altcoins in their portfolio. Because I will manage them correctly. I will build the positions. I will add to the strength. I will have an exit strategy. I know exactly where to take profits. 50% profit, 60%, then I'm out. So for me, it's easier to manage 3 altcoins than a portfolio where you have so many and you have no idea what's going on. You don't know where to take profits. It's a lucky packlet. Okay. No, it's just not how I trade. Right, guys. And the link for Bluffin is down in the description. Okay. Bluffin is down in the description. If you want to open up some swing trades, on weeks as well, you get 25% discount on your trading fees. And I do appreciate all the love that you guys are sharing over here. Much appreciated. Okay. I won't touch Litecoin even with a 10-foot pool. Satoshi, that is exactly what I said about XRP. I sold all of my XRP when it was in that consolidation phase. Sold all of it. And then I bought XRP again on the 5th of August. Because I saw this. Right. And I think everyone knows the story. Okay. Let's go to the weekly. I can show you on Litecoin where I bought XRP. Okay. I'm not saying, guys, nothing's guaranteed in the market. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I bought XRP over here. And then it did this. After I sold all of my XRP over here. I don't regret selling my XRP because it was boring. I bought Render, I bought Rune, and something else. I can't remember that. Solana. I bought Render, Rune, and Solana. So I don't regret selling my XRP, and I made boatloads of cash with the other 3 altcoins. I then used the profits to buy XRP over here. Because technically it looked like it was ready to go. So technically Litecoin looks like it's ready to go. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I have a clear invalidation. So yes, I also said I will, and for those of you that's been following me for a long time, Arena, especially, I know you're one of the early subscribers here to the channel. You all know how much I hated XRP, and whenever someone requested me to analyze XRP, I would just like, oh, really? I hated XRP. And then all of a sudden I analyzed the structure and I was like, hang on, now it's starting to look interesting, and I got back in. Okay, right, legends, thank you so much for joining the live stream. Have yourselves an amazing weekend. I will see you all in the next one. Please take tomorrow off from the charts. Statistically, Saturdays are the best days to step away from the chart because statistically, Saturdays are the least volatile. So take a break, spend some time with friends, family, watch a movie, drink some coffee, have a beer, whatever you enjoy doing, read a book next to a nice little cozy fire. I will see you all in the next one. Cheers for now.